So in this very first sequence, we had a tripod set up in the garden, locked off with a little bit of weight on it. And we basically just set up a static shot, tried to make sure that the framing was properly aligned. And we all went back inside the house with the camera recording and then exited in small groups. And we didn't have me behind the camera trying to follow people. We simply allowed each person to leave the frame. This was actually technically shot 3. It was the third one that I filmed, but in the edit I used it second because it's the shot, if you like, of the kids going into the polytunnel. Then the next shot that I took was this one of us all actually going in, but when they're cut together, it looks like one continuous take. And it worked relatively well. Again, this is the previous shot that I'd taken, but the rest of it. So the kids came in first and then we walked in second. That was all one take. And then outside, everyone walked in as well, but cut together. And it's only loosely cut together because in editing they need handles. And then there was just a couple of cutaway shots. So a few static shots of some of the produce inside in the actual polytunnel. And that was it. 5 shots just to kind of get the setup for the polytunnel. But the thing is that we had to do it several times. Now in the second sequence, which is run and gun style, I didn't interrupt the action at all. So in this case, there wasn't do it again, do it again, do it again. In this case, it was a simple but repetitive task. My son was filling this little small grow container with compost, and what I simply did is I counted roughly to 10 in my head on each one of the different frames that I've chosen, and I just let it roll. I kept the camera steady, and then basically after roughly 10 seconds, somewhere between 10 and 15 is good, I moved in for a closer angle shot. I allowed him to leave the frame and enter the frame and leave the frame again. And then I moved to the next position, and this is a closer shot of his hands basically filling in the little pot thing. Again, I just held on that shot once I'd chosen my framing for that, and I did this effectively 6 times. So I just followed what his action was. The one shot that I should have gotten, I look back at it now and it's one of those ones where I kick myself, but I should have tilted the camera up and basically gotten his facial expression while he was filling that little pot. And when we kind of see it in the next shot, not shot 4, this is a kind of a wide shot to give us context, but the next shot, shot 5, you'll see that I move in beside those mint plants and I get a kind of a closer shot of him. You'll see it in a second. So this one, we can kind of see his face and see that he's pretty engrossed in what he's doing. So that's kind of what I was looking for. But I could have gotten closer and definitely gotten a nicer shot of his face. And the reason there's 2 different takes of that same framing shot is that I screwed up the exposure at the end of the previous one. So I stopped, I fixed the exposure, and I started recording again from exactly the same position. Again, as I was recording, I counted to roughly 10 to 15. And once I'd gotten that number in my head, I then moved for my next frame up shot. And in this case, I tried to get in close and get a good close-up, a really good close-up. Notice I'm not zooming with the actual camera. I'm actually physically moving the camera closer to the subject. That's the key for getting great quality out of the phone. Do not use the digital zoom. And then natural progression, he says he's finished. I kind of shut up just in time as he lifts up the pot and I leave him leave the frame. That is key for editing.